want?
I just need a TI launchpad.
Can't you see I'm busy here?
Don't be held hostage by the board order. Go to Digi-Key.com to find thousands of boards in stock, all ready for immediate shipment.
Hello. Welcome to the very first episode of Make It Live, a live project build series with Make Magazine and presented by Digi-Key. My name is Tyler Weingartner, and in this series we're going to be doing live builds of electronics projects as featured in Make Magazine. This ongoing series we're going to be doing once a month. This is the very first one. We're going to be doing them all throughout this year in 2017. And this entire series is made possible by our very good friends at Digi-Key. Digi-Key is an electronics supplier. If you're not familiar with them, you absolutely should know about them, because they're a wonderful supplier of electronics products, boards, Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, all the stuff that we need and all the stuff that you need to make the projects like what we're going to be building. And today we're going to be building a project that I absolutely love. It is the Pix-E Gif Camera, and it's powered by a Raspberry Pi. And it's, it does exactly what you think it does. It's a camera. It looks like a kid's play school camera or something like that. And you press the trigger, and it just records a short animated GIF. And there's a couple of different ways you can share these. You can store it on the internal SD card that the Raspberry Pi uses for its storage. But the one we're going to be doing today, the version we're going to be building today, will allow you to post your GIFs straight to Twitter. And I thought that would be a really fun way to share the stuff that we can make with this camera really dynamically. So without much more in store, let's get right to it. Okay, so let's take a look at the parts that are going into this build, and this is probably one of the most important ones. This is the Raspberry Pi that is going to be powering this thing, and this isn't just any Raspberry Pi. This is the Raspberry Pi Zero. This is much tinier than the original Raspberry Pi, and it's what allows us to do a lot of really cool projects like this. And this is not even your normal everyday Raspberry Pi Zero. This one is the Raspberry Pi Zero Camera Edition, and it has this additional ribbon port here that allows you to attach the camera module to it. So we'll be doing that in just a little bit. We have the other really important part of this build, the Raspberry Pi camera module. This comes in a couple different varieties. There's a 5 megapixel one and an 8 megapixel one. And this is the 8 megapixel one, but it really doesn't matter for this project, because by the time it's a GIF, it's going to be a pretty low resolution image, relatively low resolution. The entire project is powered by this internal LiPo battery. This battery should power it for a good estimated 8 hours or so of continuous use, so certainly good for a full day's usage if you're going to go out and have fun with it for a full day. We also have this board. This is a board from Adafruit. It is the PowerBoost 500, and this is what allows you to use the battery to power the Raspberry Pi, and it also gives you this charging port. So it means that this project works like any other portable device you have. You can plug in a micro USB cable to charge it. It should charge up in a few hours. And like I said, once you get a full charge, you're going to be good for a good 8 hours or so of GIF taking. We have a couple of other elements here. We have this push button. This is going to be our shutter button. This is a cool one. Adafruit makes this as well. And the button lights up when the camera is active, and also it functions like a normal shutter button. That's how we go and take our pictures. This is the big fat rocker switch. That will be our power switch. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for this now. This project really requires a single pole double throw switch, and this is a single pole single throw switch. So that means I only have a connection on the switch for a single position, and the way that power board and its power connector works is that you actually want to break continuity to turn the board on. So that means that this switch is going to be reversed. Right now you see it's the zero position is depressed, and if you roll it over to the one, when it's rocked over to the one side, that will actually be turning it off. So it'll be a little goofy for this build, but that's okay. This is part of our camera body. This is the entire camera body is 3D printed, and just decided to go with some of the most fun colors we could find. So you get this bright yellow color, And this is actually what holds the camera. You had to get a good bright green color for that. Okay, but the first thing we need to do is we need to get started with programming our Raspberry Pi. So when you work with a Raspberry Pi, you install the operating system to the micro SD card here. And the operating system is called Raspbian. You can download it from raspberrypi.org. I've already gone ahead and downloaded it and installed it onto this card just because it's a fairly simple and really time-consuming process, and we didn't want to have to wait through that. And we're going to plug in the HDMI cable here and our USB port. So we have our keyboard and mouse and Ethernet connection, things like that. And then we connect it to power and wait for it to boot up. All right, we have our Raspberry Pi up and booted, so let's go ahead and take a look at that interface. Let's get this picture-in-picture so you can still see me here. And the very first thing we need to do is, there's a couple of things we need to do. The very first thing we need to do is let's get it connected to our network. And the very next thing we need to do is we need to go to our good friendly program, RasPi Config. And this is sort of the first step that you'll be doing anytime you get started with your Raspberry Pi Zero, or any Raspberry Pi. This is a key part of doing things like making sure you expand the file system on your SD card so that it makes use of the entire size of the card. And what else do we need to do here? We need to, internationalization options are pretty key here, as we need to let it know where we are, what time zone we're in, so it knows how to tell the correct time. By default, Raspberry Pis all tend to think that they're in the UK, or at least run on GMT, and that's not where we are, so we want to get that set up. So go to Pacific New. And there's a couple other things we need to do in internationalization options. Most importantly, let it know what kind of keyboard we are using. Because otherwise, again, it will think that it's in the UK and will come up with all sorts of funny characters. But like I said, the first thing we're going to do is do our update. And this all runs through apt-get. All right, it's looking like apt-get update just finished up, and now we need to do the one that takes a little bit longer, upgrade. So again, just sit tight, and if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. All right, now we're back in business here, and get our terminal window back here. There's a couple of things still kind of loading in here. And the first thing we need to do is install a couple of software packages. We need Python Pi Camera. All right, we have Python Pi Camera installed. Now we need to install a project or a package called Graphics Magic. I believe this is what does all of our handling for the animated GIFs and things like that. All right, so Graphic Magic is installed. Now we need to install Git Core. And now we are going to clone the GitHub repo of Mr. Nick Brewer. Missing a little HTTP there. Python install, we also need to get the Twython library, and that is found at Ryan McGrath. MCGRATH. No, just twice. All right, now there's a little bit we need to do here. First thing we need to do is go into the GIF Cam repo. We just need to do a little bit of setup here. Use this launcher shell script here. And we just need to modify this. Actually, I'm going to exit out of here really quick. GIF Cam Twitter, that's what I need to change this to. So there's a couple of different Python scripts depending on what you want, depending on which version of the script you want. There's 3 different versions. The base one, which is gifcam.py, will just save your GIFs to the local storage. There's GIFCam USB, which saves it to an external USB drive. That makes the GIFs easier to pull off and then share with people online, with your regular computer. We're going to be using GIFCam Twitter. And then we're going to save that out. That's done. And like I said, I've never actually used this GIFCam Twitter one, so I'm going to take a quick look into that Python script and make sure that it's going to be set up for the account that we want it to be posting to. All right, so it looks like we're looking at a couple of things from Twython. Not seeing anything immediately here where I plug in. Oh, okay. This is where I feel like I would have done this ahead of time because I will need to set up an app key and an app secret. So I'm actually going to, how do I want to do this? I'm going to get out of this because I'm not going to do the delay of setting up the authentication stuff. I thought I would just be able to plug in my credentials, do that. But I still want to be able to show cool GIFs that we record with this thing. Tell you what, I'm going to do a couple of GIFs from here, and then I'm going to take them and post them to Make Magazine later on. So that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, so now that we're done, we've got all of our code set up. Oh wait, no, we actually need to go back and do, go back into Launcher. We need to set up this with its regular GIF Cam one, and that's just going to allow this project to save its GIFs directly to the SD card. The last thing we need to do is we need to set this up so that it will run all this code as soon as it boots. So we're going to do sudo cron tab-e. First, we need to confirm that nano is the thing we want to use to edit our cron tab. We just need to add a quick reference in here to our Pi that when it boots to launch our code, so that then the GIF is, or the GIF Cam software is up and running. So what we have here is so at reboot, then sh GIF Cam launcher uncgr.sh. And that's all we need to do. And then we need to exit out of this, save it as we go. So with that all done, we need to power down the Pi, and now we're ready to basically start installing this thing and setting it up. One of the first things we need to do is we need to attach a couple of wires to our Adafruit power boost here. So we have a couple of different things that we're going to be soldering here. I'm going to focus in on the pins here. We have these positive and negative pins, and these are going to be what we soldered to the Raspberry Pi itself. That's going to be the power output. And then we also have these EN and GND pins up here, and that's what we're going to solder to our power switch. So we can use that to turn the whole device on when we're ready to start taking pictures. Look through the cameras I'm soldering, which is awkward, but it means that it makes sure that you all can see it as well as I can. All right, so we got the first pin set up on the power boost board. Trim that excess off. Now we need all right, that's two of the things we need to solder on here. We can focus on the other parts, which are these EN and GND pins. And for this, we're going to use all right, so we're going to set that aside. We don't really need that right now, although we might need that very soon. So that may be one of the first things that we install into the Raspberry Pi case itself, which I think is our next step. Actually, the very first step we need to do is we need to install the camera module. The bit that's going to house the camera, and we need to install the camera into it. It goes right in like this. And the rest of these should go in pretty easily. Okay, that's the first one in. Good. Okay, that's all four screws holding the camera on. You can see a little bit of what it's going to look like when we're done. Get our focus in. It's a little overexposed there, but you can see at least that's what the front of the camera looks like. Take a look on the next thing we need to do is we need to install our power boost board. That's going to go right up in this part of the enclosure here. The other important thing to note is that that USB micro port on the side there lines up perfectly with this opening on the side of the enclosure there. And that's so you can just plug it into a standard USB micro and charge up your camera when trying to position my hand so it wasn't in the way, and it made it worse. My next thing I need to do is I need to hot glue in the battery. I just want to get this camera cable out of the way. So I'm going to kind of thread it out through here to hold it out of the way. So that battery is going to hot glue in right there. In fact, it's going to go in pretty much just like this. Hold that in place. Give it a good amount of glue there on that side, a little bit more on this side. That should be plenty to hold it into place. We don't need a ton. And then, The other thing we need to hot glue in before it gets too messy is our status LED. That's going to go right into this pocket right in here. Know which way we want it to go. So actually, one of the next things we need to do now that we're starting to turn this into a big mess of wires is we want to install our push button. This has this little lock ring that we're going to remove first. The Raspberry Pi Zero is basically going to be here. And we need to solder things all to these GPIO pins all along here. There's a couple of different ones we need to do. And I'm just going to go and hold the Pi roughly in its place and trim these down and get everything kind of soldered in where it needs to be before I screw this finally into place. Get that melted in there. Soldering iron. Work with here. Okay, that is our last solder connection. One of the next things we'll need to do here is connect the other end of the Raspberry Pi camera cable. I'm going to route it back behind all these cables we've soldered in. And bring the Pi a little bit closer to where it's actually going to be laying down in this case. Now that we've got all these cables connected, we might be fighting the tension of the cables a little bit, but that's okay. Open this connector up. Might even open up both sides. Make sure that connection. Fit this right through there. Now we're going to use that to hold everything in place. All right, that's feeling like a good solder join there. Part and have it in focus. And when I throw the switch, should see that blue light. That means that everything is powered up. And we're starting to see the activity lights on the Pi. That means it's booting. Put these screws in. And of course, well, once we get some GIFs into the Twitter feed, we're going to be able to show those directly on our webpage here in this live stream. But if you aren't following us already on Twitter, you should be, and that is @Make. And that is where you'll see GIFs from this camera and lots of other stuff posted by our editors and our fans and things like that. It's an awesome page, and we hope to see you on there. Hopefully we got this thing looking pretty cool. I mean, it looks pretty cool. We got some good colors in the 3D print for the body and the housing, the lens cover here. But I think we could make it look just a little bit better, and that's exactly what Nick and Shayna Brewer thought too. So they also designed these, and these are these cover sheets that you can print out, and you can wrap your camera and just give it just an extra layer of fun. So let's just cut one of these out, wrap around the outside of it, and then get that happening before we're ready to test this thing out. Just going to get this focused up here. All right. I'm working without a ruler here, so hopefully I can keep my lines nice and straight. All right, so got that cut out of the paper. Now I just need to cut all of these little windows for the ports and the buttons and switches and things like that. And of course the big opening for the lens too. And the designer of these files, these wraparounds, Shayna, she actually designed a bunch of different ones of these. So depending on which colors you printed your camera in or had your camera printed in, you can find something to match. I'm not sure if this is going to match this well with my sort of lemon lime theme that I have for the camera we're building today, but we'll see. It'll look pretty good. I think it'll look good. Do you think it'll look good? Forgot about this little notch down here. I think this one is for the opening for the USB port in the bottom, where for us, for the build that we're going to be doing today, that's where we would connect or be able to disconnect the USB Wi-Fi adapter. But you can also, if you are doing the version of this that it records to like a USB stick, you can easily remove that and then plug that into your computer. So then you can take your GIFs and post them to Twitter. And of course, if you are interested in making this project on your own, and I hope you do, if you look in the comments there, we've posted the link to the project on the Make community platform. So go ahead and check that out. All right, first things first, I think the easiest way to do this is to kind of wrap this around the camera lens first. That's where it kind of hooks in and around. It's the hardest thing to get it around, probably because I didn't trim enough paper away. And I probably could have done myself a couple of favors. Actually, yeah, that's looking all right. I'm liking the way that's looking. Pardon my shadow. Oh, the camera's shadow. All right. So we'll just kind of keep working this around here. As I was saying, I probably could have done myself a few favors by scoring these fold lines ahead of time. And I think I actually I would have wanted to fit this power switch over, or manage to sandwich the power switch, or sandwich the paper between the power switch. But we're not gonna do that today. We're working a little fast and loose because we want to make some GIFs. And I'm just using some double-sided tape here to get this thing sealed up. Yeah, that's definitely showing signs of this being fast and loose. I should have scored these some of these fold lines ahead of time, and well, this looks like some of my gift wrapping jobs, but that's okay. That is okay. As we mentioned last time, the power switches I should have bought single pole double throw switches that have circuit connections on both sides of the switch, because right now this switch is operating backwards. It looks like it's on the one position is it's over on that side, but it's actually in the off position. So yeah, the switch works backwards. But we flip that on, and if you can see in there, pull this camera up here. If you look in there, I'm going to switch it off for a second. You see the insides light up, and that's how you know that the power boost is turned on. It's feeding power to the Raspberry Pi, and the Raspberry Pi is just booting up now. And it takes a couple of seconds, or maybe a minute or so. But once it's done, you're going to see that LED. There it goes. It's starting to blink. That means that this thing is ready. This thing is ready to GIF. So let's give it a test. And reach across the desk here. Okay. So you just got to hold the button down for a couple of seconds. I think you can probably see better than I can at this point that the light has gone solid, and it is recording an image. Now if we look here, it's gone black. That means it's busy posting to the internet. And when it's ready, it's going to blink again. All right, now it's blinking. Now let's check. Now let's take a look and see. And there it is. That is the GIF that we just posted to Twitter from our Raspberry Pi GIF camera. That's really all I planned to show off today. This is once again, this is the Pix-E Raspberry Pi GIF camera. This is a thing that came out of the Make community, designed by Nick and Shayna Brewer. This is Make It Live. This is an ongoing series that we're going to be doing, and we're super excited about that, building projects from Make Magazine live on the internet, and for you to see how that process goes and join along, and maybe give us some input as we're working, and kind of help shape the project as we're building them. We couldn't do this project without our good friends at Digi-Key. They are the sponsors of this series. If you're not familiar with them, they are an electronics supplier, and they are a one-stop place where you can get all the things you need to build this project or projects like these. Everything from resistors and potentiometers and all the other internal circuit components you need, and also the bigger boards, things like Raspberry Pi and Arduino and all the other components that come together and let you build projects like this. They are making this series possible, and we want to thank them for all the support they're giving us and letting us do this. We have a couple of great projects coming up. The next one will be around the second or third week of February, and that is, you may have seen us post about it either in the latest issue of Make Magazine or right here on our Facebook page, and that's Eddie, the self-balancing robot. This project is super exciting. It's powered by the Eddie single board, or the Intel Edison single board computer, and as it's described, it's a self-balancing robot. It rolls around on two wheels. It constantly maintains its balance just by shifting the motors back and forth to remain upright. And the funnest thing about it is that you can actually steer it around using your computer to connect to it over Wi-Fi, and then control it, drive it around your office. And what's best is you can even connect a little webcam in place of its head, and you can drive them around using FPV, and that's super, super fun. Anyhow, I want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you for joining us again, and I'm really sorry that things, we weren't able to wrap everything else up when we started this build on Wednesday, but thank you for joining us again. Once again, I'm Tyler Weingartner, and you can look for more stuff from Make Magazine right here on Facebook, on makezine.com, and of course our Twitter account on @Make. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Now remember what I told you.
Yeah, don't make eye contact. He takes it as a personal challenge.
Hello? Pat?
Yes.
Can I get a,
He'll take a Raspberry Pi 3.
No pie for you.
Told you. Hey, but I did hear this new deli. I can go pick up the sandwiches.
Don't be held hostage by the board order. Go to Digi-Key.com to find thousands of boards in stock, all ready for immediate shipment.